Hello, everybody. Welcome to this channel. My name's Christiana Davidson. I'm a psychotherapist and I work in the area of narcissistic abuse, whether that be in the family system or in adult relationships. You're very welcome here if it's your first time. We've got a rather interesting but not mainstream topic for today's video. And the title is Beware of the Temptation to Narcissism by the Back Door, the New Age Spiritual Movement. So let's dive straight into this topic now. What we're looking at here is what I would suggest is how each of us needs to be on guard against being lured into a narcissistic way of being and way of living, a way of viewing the world and ourselves. And the way I suggest that this is taking place in our world today is through the New Age movement. So when we come from a trauma background, highly traumatized background, we're especially vulnerable to a lack of boundaries. Lack of boundaries in terms of our bodies, in relationship to our bodies, in relationships with other people, in our thoughts, in our minds, what we take in, what we believe about ourselves, and then also this area of spirituality, which I think is the most overlooked aspect of the impact of trauma. We find when we have come from a trauma background that we tend to be open to anything. We're easily duped. We tend to be easily swayed by somebody being nice to us, or somebody saying something kind, or love bombing, or praising. Anything that makes us feel good tends to be an area of weakness. So we find ourselves open to anything, following this one or that one blindly, without question, and having little to no ability to say no to some things, to really discern well. In fact, we often skip out the discern part and just go with, we're easily led like a lamb to the slaughter. And I'm going to suggest that this is happening in the spiritual life too. So today I want to discuss this spiritual area, which is alarming to me, actually. The rise of the New Age movement, the New Age spirituality, and that encompasses a huge array of things. Today we're going to focus in particularly on the law of attraction and the law of assumption. So you've probably heard things like The Secret and Neville Goddard and those types. That's what we're going to be looking at predominantly today. But then it also brings in all the other ways of practicing the New Age, things like tarot, things like divination, all of these sort of New Age practices. And I'm going to suggest that these New Age practices are the way that narcissism is coming into our society through the back door, that it's a deception of vulnerable people who are in search of God or healing, you could say. So, in summary, we're going to first of all start by looking at the biblical account of the very first narcissist. I wonder if you have any idea who that might be in the Bible. Then we're going to move through to the myth of Narcissus, the Greek myth of Narcissus. Then we're going to link that to law of assumption, law of attraction, and how there is a temptation there similar to the biblical account and the Greek myth to some kind of secret knowledge. And then we'll have a summary at the end, discussing what we can do about all of this. Okay, so let's dive in here now. Let's talk about the the first narcissist, who appears in the Bible right at the beginning. Right at the start of time, there was this battle between light and dark, the forces of light and the forces of darkness. And we hear in the church's teaching, in Christian teaching, that Lucifer was the highest of all angels, the angel of light, Lucifer meaning light. And Lucifer's job was to enlighten the minds of human beings, to bring light, God's light, into their minds and hearts, to bring them closer to God. However, what happens is Lucifer does not like the fact that he is merely an angel, albeit the highest one, highest archangel. He's jealous of God's intention to create human beings. Why? Because human beings are not only going to have a mind and a spirit like the angels, they're also going to have a body. And this is going to set them apart from the angels. It gives them a higher status somehow, and Lucifer was having none of it. So he rebels. He rebels against God. He rejects God. He rejects light. And he becomes the inverse. He becomes the angel of darkness, to bring darkness and deception and lies to God's people. So he's the master then of deception rather than of truth. So he decides to rebel against God, not to obey. And this is important. Satan is the one who chooses not to obey what he's told to do. And he decides he's going his own way, and he's going to become his own God with his own kingdom, and he's going to reign supreme and rival God. And so his first port of call then to establish his kingdom is to seduce Eve. He wants her to do the same as he has done, to reject God and choose him as God, to reject Eve's original understanding of God, and to lure her by suggesting he has some secret knowledge that God has kept hidden from her. Did God really say that, Eve? No, what he's actually not telling you is that he's keeping this wisdom secret from you, because he knows that if you do have this wisdom, this secret knowledge, you are going to be just like him. So Eve is tempted not to eat the fruit, not the actual physical food substance. She's tempted by her curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat, they say. She was seduced by this curiosity of this secret knowledge that had been kept hidden from her. And so she goes with it, and that causes her downfall. She chooses to, instead of have God within her, to take God within her, all the other fruits in the garden, she chooses to take the fruit of the devil within her, of Satan. And she becomes mother, in that sense, of darkness. And of course, we know later on in the Bible, there's another lady, another woman who puts this right, Mary, who says yes to God, of the angel of God, Gabriel, of light. She says, no, I will become the mother of Christ, of God. Okay, so that's a bit of the biblical background there. And we just need to keep that in mind there. There's the key points are being tempted by secret knowledge, being drawn away from the original, what you're originally taught, to rebel against that, and then the seductive allure of becoming, finding some kind of wisdom that's going to take you to the next spiritual level. Those are some things that we need to keep in mind there. But also the fact that there is this battle between good and evil that we're all immersed in. That's what the biblical account suggests. Okay, so let's move over now to narcissism. And we'll put narcissism in light of this, because I believe that the serpent was the first narcissist. Now, narcissism, as you know, is fueled by self-pride. And you can hear that in that biblical account. He didn't like it that he wasn't going to be the one that shined the most. He wanted everything to revolve around him. He was inordinately focused on the self. And narcissism is just that. It's an inordinate focus on the self. The narcissist wants the whole world to revolve around them and expects it to. There's this sense of, I'm going to get my best life. I'm going to get what I want to get what I deserve. They don't deserve to have better than me. Pride, basically. So what I'm suggesting here, as I said, is that Satan is the first narcissist, and he recruits Eve, who is symbolic of all mankind, to become like him. And so we're all caught up in this, if you believe in the biblical account of things. We're also still being seduced by the serpent today to rebel against our original God, to follow secret knowledge, and to become godlike ourselves. Okay, so right, let's move on here now. So let's bring in now some of the New Age practices in light of the biblical account, narcissism, and now we're going to bring in the law of attraction, law of assumption, the secret. You can create your own life, etc. So, like I said, narcissism is this focus on the self. It's all about how I feel. You know, the narcissist is out there to boost their supply, to boost their esteem, and they get other people to do that. They manipulate in order to keep up that false self. If you have any experience in the law of attraction or law of assumption, you will know that the crux of it all is that your feelings are the secret. Feeling is the secret. There is an inordinate, I would suggest, focus on your own emotions. It's all about how I feel, and then focusing in on that and checking in on it all the time to check that you're feeling a positive, that you're not feeling negative. Because if you allow that negative in, you then are going to be creating what you don't want in your life. Its thrust is about getting what you want, not what you don't want. That's the whole focus of it, is to focus in on what you want and to disregard anything that you don't want. So therefore, that would mean things that, you know, you might be told to do something you don't want to do, but, you know, there's a sense of rebellion against that because it's not what you want. So it's a following of what you want and making that your God. It's so narcissistic. Sometimes we are duty bound. We do have to do things we don't want to do, or we have to give services we don't want to give, purely because it's the right thing to do, not because we're going to get something from it. It might be the moral thing to do, as opposed to following my bliss. Now, as I said, Satan, or the devil, was a rebel, and he caused Eve to rebel. And narcissism is all about rebelling against being told what to do, particularly when it comes to things like doing things according to how institutions say, or how you're told by others. The crux of narcissism is doing it my way, or doing it the way the institution says, but to gain supply by doing that. So not doing it with pure intentions. And it's interesting because I don't know if you've noticed this, but in our world today, there's a real sense of breaking away from particularly the Christian Catholic Church, in order to be what's sort of presented as the next level. Hi, I'm spiritual, I'm above all of that control. I go with whatever I want, whatever I feel is right, then I'm open to that. I'm going to go with it. No rules, nobody telling me I can't, no laws. No, no, no. Whatever makes me feel good, that is my God. So we can see here this subtle seduction of curiosity coming back in. There's the voice of the tempter, did God really say? I mean, if he said that, then he's a narcissist. He's just trying to control you. Come with me. Rebel against what you've been taught and follow all these different amazing things that I'm going to put before you, that I'm going to present to you as if they are light, just like he did with Eve and the apple. But these are going to lead you to all you want in your life if you just follow these things that are alternative. Okay. The law of attraction or of assumption is all about love for oneself as the center of the universe. It's all about the person themselves, their feelings, their needs, their dreams of fame, fortune, adoration, success in this life. It's all self, self, self. In fact, there is no other. That's what the teaching is. You bring people in yourself into your own story, they say. And this person is not actually a person, they're just a reflection of you. They're either showing you your old self or the you that you're going to be. But this person is not an other. Everyone is you. Everyone is an extension of you, is the teaching. I mean, if that's not narcissistic, with you at the center of the world, I don't know what is. That is hugely narcissistic. And it's so blatantly so, but nobody's picking up on this. It's the same temptation that the devil put to Jesus in the Bible in the desert. He comes to Jesus when he's vulnerable. He'd been fasting for 40 days. And he says to him, look, Jesus, if you bow down, if you just follow me, if you come with me, I will show you the way to all you want. I'll give you everything you want in this life. I'll give you kingdoms. I'll give you the life of your dreams. I'll give you cars, houses, wives, money, power, you name it, it's yours. Just follow me. not God. No, follow fame and fortune and all the desires of the flesh. Come with those desires. Let your desires be your guide. You'll have it all. And of course, Jesus is having none of it. He sees the deception instantly. He can hear the voice of the tempter. You see, the devil seduces with narcissism. He presents narcissism to us as something attractive, of having all that you want, the best life for you, where you are the center of the world and you have all the adoration, admiration, attention, all of it. That's the great temptation here of the devil. And we're all tempted with this day in, day out. All you have to do is look at social media, look at the world, celebrity culture, all of that. It's all about narcissism. Likewise, in the Garden of Eden, the devil suggests to Eve that there is some secret knowledge outside of what she's been taught, outside of the strict rules that God's put in place. And we can sort of hear this breaking away from the church here. Oh, the church is just putting in rules to inhibit you, to keep you from becoming all that you truly are. And if God allowed you to have this secret knowledge, you'd see that you are God. That's what God doesn't want. He doesn't want you to know that you are God, like him. This is very, very seductive. It's especially in the law of assumption, law of attraction. It's put across in a way that's very subtle, but the tempter always was very subtle. It's presented in a means of sort of coming across as a light and the truth, when actually there's a deception, a deep deception going on. So Eve is tempted to believe that there's some secret knowledge that has been kept from her by God. That is the fact, and that is the fact that she is actually God. She's a goddess. And you'll hear this all the time in the New Age at the moment. I'm now connecting to my inner goddess. It just for me, I cringe when I hear it. This is, in my belief, the absolute lie of the tempter, and it is narcissism by the back door. Why do I say it's narcissism? Well, I mean, it's fundamentally based on pride in who I am. It's an improper appreciation of our own worth. I am God is the phrase in law of assumption. I am equal to him. And it's this, the church teaches that this is the most serious of sins, to proclaim that. In other words, it's saying no to God and saying yes to ourselves as God. That's really what's going on subconsciously here. Just like Eve was tempted to do so in the garden. The Bible, refutes this assumption that I am God. God said to Moses in the burning bush, he said, I am who I am. He did not say to Moses, you and I are one, Moses. I am you and you are me. We are God. No, he did not say that. And this is where the law of assumption, the deception comes in here, is to suggest that no, God said this to show us that we are God, that each one of us is God too, that I can proclaim I am God. No, God told Moses who Moses was not. That's why he said that. I am God. I am who I am, because that's who you are not. And it caused Moses instantly to humble himself, to take off his pride in himself, and to bow in holy fear and reverence before the God who had created him and created all the universe, this awesome God, the God of all the ages who'd been there before Moses had been born, the one God, not the many gods, the one God. Narcissists are all about flattery. They love to be admired, adored, and one of the things they like the most is flattery. You know, to be told that they're amazing, to get that feedback from people, that is like delicious treat for a narcissist. They want to be told that they are godlike. They want to know that. Now, if you think of the law of attraction, law of assumption, and many of the New Age movements, it's all about affirmations, self-affirmations, telling myself, I am fabulous. I am phenomenal. I am amazing. I am a light worker. I am God. I am a goddess. And I'm going to be honest here, this is all false flattery designed for the ego. It's a false self-praising. I am special. I am outstanding. Nobody is special. No. Nobody is phenomenal more so than anyone else. We're all born here to whatever family we come through as just the same as anybody else. Nobody is special. And I would suggest the only thing that makes someone special is the extent to which they know why they're not. So all these affirmations really are pumping up narcissism within the self. It's all a focus on the self. How can I boost my ego, make myself feel better? All about feelings, how I feel. Everything, self-focused. Everything is about getting an emotional lift. And that's exactly what narcissism is, looking for supply to get that emotional lift. And law of attraction, law of assumption does exactly the same. They focus on getting that good feeling about yourself from others and situations. And in fact, everybody is you pushed out anyway. That's what they suggest. So, you know, this person here, how can I take from them what I need to feel good about myself? That's the mentality. And if you're presenting in any way negative, well, that's not something I want in my 3D world. So you're going to be rejected and booted out. Everybody is me, in other words. I am God and everyone is me. And therefore I say who stays, who goes. I decide about my life, nobody else. I am God of my life. You know, and this is exactly the deception that came in with Lucifer. He did exactly the same thing. So Christianity, on one hand, says, no, I abandon myself into the hands of my God so that I may be of service to him in whatever way serves the kingdom of light. That is my greatest joy. Sure, I can have desires and I can have dreams, but those are always offered to God. And my faith is that if I can, I will be a handmaid of God, like Mary said, a handmaid of the Lord with my life. I will not be dictating to God what has to happen in order for me to be happy in this life. That's not what it's about. You know, and that's the deception of the enemy, is to make us focus on this life when actually this life is a passing. It is the gateway to eternal life. And what we choose in this life is going to have a major impact on what we choose when we get to the next, because there is a choice that takes place in the next. And the more you allow yourself, I believe, to be seduced into narcissism, into becoming your own God, the less likely you're going to be desiring God in the next, and B, able to hear the voice of truth. You'll be so seduced by the other. I don't mean to, to bring fear into this, but do you know what? A bit of healthy fear is good. Sometimes that's what's missing, I believe, in a lot of ways. So with law of attraction, there's no sort of unconditional loving and giving. Why? Well, because it's all about giving to myself, really, at the end of the day. That person is me, so I'm just doing everything for me. Narcissists are full of grandiosity and they feel entitled to fame, fortune, pleasure, attention. And we see this all the time. You know, in law of attraction circles, it's all about manifesting a car, a house, a special person, whatever it is, fame, fortune, etc. And that is the cunning deception of law of attraction. It's all about that. It's all about getting the life you want and dictating it, rather than abandoning oneself in service to God, in service to doing good upon earth. So that whole law of assumption, law of attraction, what it fails to remember is that quote from the Bible, "You fool, tonight your life will be demanded of you and your pride will lead you to Hades." So in order to bring this topic full circle here, I'm sure some people will be wanting to slap me. It'll make people irate. But do you know what? This is so important. It's important to bring this spiritual battle out into the light, I believe, because it's happening, especially so in our world today. And my job as a therapist is to help people choose what is good for them and heal. And this is part of that, the spiritual aspect, I believe. So in my belief, we're here to prepare for the next life. We're here to offer ourselves to God in his service, however he wishes. And that might not always look the way you demand. Just like Moses was sent back to Egypt. He didn't want to go, but he went because he knew that this was God's will. And in that sense, he had great faith in it. Why is this so important to begin thinking about, at least? Because your life in the next depends on this. And the more you get deceived now, the harder it is to see the truth and come back. The more you go with your curiosity and feelings and alternative paths, the more you follow what you think looks like light, but is actually a deception, the harder it is going to be when it comes to choosing in the next. And many will say, look, there's no hell, there's no evil, it's all just made up stuff. You get to choose in this life whether you go with that or not. But I can tell you from my own spiritual experiences, I am quite happy to say that there are demonic forces at work. Absolutely. Just as much as there are angels. But we need guidance and we need boundaries when it comes to discerning them. So my final thoughts on this are, you are not God. You are not the creator. You were not there. Where were you when the whole universe was created? You are the creature of the creator. And you have the chance in this life to choose, just as Eve and Mary did, to either worship the secret knowledge and the lies of narcissism and the serpent, or to stand firm and to choose the truth, the original way that was presented to you, to choose eternal life with God in his kingdom. You know, do not allow yourself to be deceived. We really need to take this seriously. You might start by watching some YouTube videos on this about near-death experiences or things like that. Have a look. Not all of them are sound, but they give you an idea. You know, go back to what you were given at the start and see, have I been seduced here? Am I being seduced? Is there something that feels a bit off about the practices that I'm doing? Am I going further and further down a rabbit hole here? Is there peace? Is there deep peace in what I'm choosing to believe and follow, and the way I'm choosing to live out my life spiritually? Or is there this frantic need to try to control? And is there a lack of peace? Is there a growing despair? Are there only moments of, I don't know, what can we say, momentary joys that are few and far between? Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived anymore. If you have any questions about this topic or you've got any thoughts, please leave them after the video. I will respond to them as best I can. And please know I'm not an expert in all of this. I'm merely bringing up the topic because I think it's very important that we all at least consider this. So if you'd like to work with me as well, I'm starting to change how I work now. I'm no longer doing hypnotherapy. I'm going to be bringing in, as a result of this sort of topic, I guess, and my own journey, I'm going to be bringing in more of a spiritual aspect to the work I do. So it'll be psychotherapy, and if wanted, bringing in the power of the Holy Spirit to work within you in the session, and nothing is more powerful than that. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and see you soon.